Overdrive today, we bring you a detailed review of the Porsche Cayenne Coupe and the e-hybrid. Also on the show, we bring you a review of the Skoda Rapid TSI Automatic. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Soini Dutt. Let's start the show on a good note. Harley Davidson motorcycles will remain in India. In fact, Hero MotoCorp will be developing as well as selling these motorcycles under the Harley Davidson brand name. They will also be servicing the motorcycles, so that's certainly good news for the American brand. Moving on, there was some good news coming in from luxury car maker Mercedes-Benz as well. They sold over 550 cars in the festive period of Navratri and Dussehra. And if you're looking for a new hatchback, you can book yourself the new i20, which is now available for a booking amount of 21,000 rupees. We'll certainly get you all the details from the launch floor on the 5th of November. Now moving on to the first story from this week, the Porsche Cayenne e-hybrid enhances ownership experience by offering good fuel efficiency without really skimping on the essential performance as well as dynamics that you would expect from Porsche cars. Here's Bert with more.
As global warming, depletion of natural resources and many such concerns became more pressing issues globally, the automotive manufacturers that were seeing a tremendous boom in SUV sales figured out a hack to keep business booming and to stop those bricks being hurled at SUVs that were the poster boys of environmental gloom and doom. Now they stuck an electric motor to the internal combustion engine, made it a hybrid and saved the day. Now during this period, there were several SUVs that received a tremendous amount of flack, one of them being the Porsche Cayenne. It was big, thirsty, and to add to its woes, it looked ugly. But then the Germans went and gave it hybrid power, and balance was restored. The Cayenne hybrid is identical to the standard Cayenne. The only elements separating it visually are the green highlights around the badges and the alloy wheel design. It's not a good-looking SUV, and a better visual is executed in the Cayenne Coupe, which you'd see later in this story. And the first thing you notice about it is just how quiet it is. Because when you thumb the starter, you don't kick the petrol engine to life. You simply spark the electric motor. The Cayenne hybrid is a parallel hybrid, which means that first of all, it has an electric motor powered by a battery and an internal combustion engine powered by petrol. Second, both of these can work independently or together parallelly to provide motive force to this big hulking 2.5-ton SUV. The petrol engine is a 3-litre V6 fed by a single turbocharger. By itself, it makes about 335 horsepower, and that is a good number to have on your side. But then you bring in the electric motor and it adds another 135 horses to the mix. If 335 horsepower wasn't potent enough, you now have a combined 455 horsepower with almost 700 Newton meters of torque, and that is good enough for this. The electric motor is based on the Porsche 918 Spider, but there are a few changes to its architecture. Now, this electric motor is powered by a battery that sits under the rear load bay and which is 30% more efficient than the previous generation Cayenne hybrid, which of course wasn't offered in India. The Cayenne hybrid has 4 driving modes. There's the pure electric mode where only the electric motor is engaged. Then there is the hybrid mode, which automatically senses what you as a driver want to do with the vehicle and accordingly either engages the electric motor or the petrol motor or both of them parallelly. Then you also have the Sport and the Sport Plus mode. In Sport Plus mode, well, the Cayenne hybrid takes off all the safety nets, gives you the full dynamic array, and that makes it a very interesting SUV with all the elements characteristic of any Porsche anywhere in the world. This is, at the end of the day, a Porsche. And like any other Porsche, you need one more element that is critical to complement what the brand represents: handling. I simply love the way the Porsche active suspension management and the Porsche dynamic chassis control work to ensure the Cayenne sits flat and neutral, even when you're flinging it into a corner. Another key element to improving dynamics is the rear axle steering, which allows the rear wheels to steer up to 3 degrees. At speeds up to about 49 kilometers per hour, the rear wheels steer opposite to the direction of the front wheels, and this improves the turning radius. But as your speeds increase, the rear wheels steer in the same direction as the front wheels, enhancing the cornering stability by a much higher margin. So, what do I think about the Porsche Cayenne e-hybrid? Well, I do believe it is a fantastic SUV because it's got great performance, it's got great dynamics, and then there's that fuel efficiency to boot thanks to that hybrid powertrain. Who'd ever believe an SUV of this order would deliver 20.5 kilometers per litre in urban conditions? Who would ever believe you if you said that? But then again, I don't entirely subscribe to the whole hybrid SUV philosophy because, well, the Cayenne e-hybrid, it costs about 1.5 crores ex-showroom, and for about 40 lakhs less, you could get yourself a Cayenne S, which has similar levels of performance and dynamics. And what about the fuel efficiency and making that green statement? Well, how about you, rather than consume a natural resource, use the balance money to go out and set up a solar farm, make a statement, and give back a renewable resource to society. But hang on, my story doesn't get over here. I have got another Cayenne to test.
Well, the story doesn't end here just yet. On the other side of this break, Bert has the Porsche Cayenne Coupe waiting for us. Welcome back here with us on Overdrive. Now, the Porsche Cayenne Coupe carries forward the same mix that you saw in the e-hybrid, which offers better fuel efficiency without cutting corners on dynamics as well as performance, but it adds a healthy dose of style to the mix. Take a look.
Lately, I've been playing a game with my daughter called Name Place Animal Thing. In the course of the game, my 6-year-old revealed to me an animal named the Zonky, which is a cross between a zebra and a donkey. A Zonky? So tonight when I go back home, I'm gonna give her a new name. I'm calling it a Scoope, which is a cross between an SUV and a coupe. And so my Scoope for today is the Porsche Cayenne Coupe, which in my opinion is one of the finest examples of a cross between a coupe and an SUV. This body style truly elevates the standard Cayenne, which in my opinion is not the nicest looking SUV out there. That design is inspired entirely by physics. The Cayenne Coupe though, well, takes all of that, gives it a swooping roofline. It sits about 13 mm longer, 20 mm lower and 18 mm wider than the standard Cayenne. And all of that gives it a fantastic stance. It is a good looking Scoope. The interesting thing about the Cayenne Coupe is that despite that sweeping roofline at the rear, you don't lose headroom on the back seat. There is still enough space there. I love the look and feel of the Cayenne Coupe. It's the latest iteration. These interiors are entirely new. And a little bit earlier, you saw the Cayenne Hybrid. Well, that's the older generation car, and this one gets the entirely new layout with, of course, this new touchscreen and the new layout on the center console. It's very modern and very good looking. Under the hood of the Cayenne Coupe resides a 3-litre V6 petrol engine. Now, this is the same engine that is used in Audi's Q8. It's powerful. You get 340 PS of max power with 450 Newton meters of max torque. However, the Q8 gets 100 Newton meters more with a 48 volt hybrid system, a mild hybrid system. But ignore the Q8 for a minute. In the Cayenne Coupe, it's a brilliant engine. This is one of the finest German engines. The power is on par with, well, many a sports car for that matter. There's a sort of fluidity to it that is just incredible to experience. Power comes on rapidly. You go from a 0 to 100 in just 6 seconds. Top speed, of course, is limited to 250 kilometers an hour, but, well, we just don't have the roads to get there. The most fun you derive from the Cayenne Coupe is when you let it do things on its own, which means put it into auto mode or slot it into on the drive mode, sport or sport plus, and let the automatic transmission do its thing. It shifts at just the right points, gives you the right amount of torque and power, so you can focus on steering the car in the right direction, working the brakes, whereas the engine and the transmission will just do the rest for you. It's absolutely brilliant, and it works so well that out on the highways we got about 9.8 kilometers per litre, and in urban areas it gave us about 8.2 kilometers per litre. So the fuel efficiency for a V6, that's not too bad at all. Now, if you wanted stunning performance, you wanted performance that would push you into your seats, blinding acceleration, well, the Cayenne E Hybrid is one of the better variants out there in the Cayenne lineup. The Coupe, well, it definitely pales compared to the Cayenne E Hybrid. But then again, if you wanted a little more sharpness, well, you opt for the lightweight package, and that reduces the overall weight of the Cayenne Coupe, which is significantly heavy, by the way, almost 2 tons. The lightweight package cuts that weight down by almost 20 odd kilos. That, of course, results in much quicker acceleration. Makes this a much faster SUV coupe. The Cayenne Coupe gets air suspension, and it's adjustable, which means it retains the character of the Cayenne. You can raise it all over it depending on the terrain you're driving on. You've also got 4-wheel drive. So the Cayenne Coupe will take you through almost any terrain. Not this one though, because this comes with road bias tires, and you'd need something a little more tractable in off-road conditions. But coming back to the air suspension, comfort is just brilliant. You don't feel the bumps from potholes or expansion joints. The ride comfort is luxurious, and I'm quite surprised at the way this car behaves almost anywhere. One of the nicer aspects of the Cayenne Coupe is its handling. Throw it through any twisting, any corners. The Cayenne in its standard guise, the SUV, well, you aren't really going to push that hard, even though it is quite capable of giving sports car-like performance on the track. The Cayenne Coupe, on the other hand, well, you just intentionally want to throw it around corners and see what it can do, and it surprises you every step of the way. So, what do I think of the Porsche Cayenne Coupe? Well, I think it is the most brilliant variant in the Cayenne lineup, and you could get it for just about 12 lakh rupees more than the standard Cayenne. So rather than upgrade your Cayenne, you do better to just buy the Cayenne Coupe. It looks significantly better. It's got fantastic dynamics. It's got a great engine, good performance. The lava orange is a brilliant shade to have it in. Grabs a lot of attention. But most of all, it's also comfortable. It's still practical and a whole lot of fun.
If you enjoyed this story, drop us a comment on our YouTube channel. You can also show us some love by liking this video, and do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll take a quick break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we'll get you our road test review of the Skoda Rapid TSI Automatic. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now, the Skoda Rapid TSI has been received quite well in the Indian market thanks to its revised pricing as well as positioning, which makes this midsize offering a sweeter deal compared to its other sub 4 meter compact sedans. But it's also got a very good automatic gearbox, and that adds to the value proposition of this car. Here's Rohit with more.
If you don't follow Overdrive on all the popular social media networks yet, please do that right away. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, please do that right away too. And if you do follow me on Instagram, then you are probably one of those many people who participated in that little poll that I conducted a few days back, asking you what do you think would be the starting price for the Skoda Rapid TSI Automatic. Would Skoda create another value for money product and price it under 10 lakh rupees, or would they get too optimistic and go beyond 10 lakh rupees like some of their peers? Well, the poll results were neck to neck, and Skoda has indeed priced the Rapid TSI Automatic under 10 lakh rupees, at least for the starting price, and it goes all the way up to 13.29 lakh rupees for the range-topping Monte Carlo variant. The aging platform means that the Rapid doesn't have class-leading features, but that also reflects in its low asking price. What you see here is the style trim, which has the most bells and whistles from the Monte Carlo trim, but in a more airy beige interior and chrome garnish on the outside. For a more formal attire than the Monte Carlo's youthful appointments. Despite the age, the Rapid feels solid in its build, and the materials feel on par with the competition. While there is no CarPlay on board, the Rapid covers basics like rain-sensing wipers, auto headlamps, climate control and cruise control. But if you want connected tech and more creature comforts, you will have to look higher up the order at new age cars like the City or the Verna. The automatic gearbox is, of course, the headline to talk about with this Rapid. Powering this car is the same 1-litre 3-cylinder petrol engine that we also sampled in the Rapid, and the one that blew us away when we drove the Rapid TSI a little while back, and the one that we also compared to the Verna. Now, it also puts out the same 110 PS of power, 175 Newton meters of torque. There's no change over there, at least in terms of the outputs, and it is mated to a 6-speed torque converter automatic. Now, if you remember, when Volkswagen was running the show for the Volkswagen Group in India, the Vento was the only car that had the combination of a TSI engine with the DSD gearbox. The Rapid, on the other hand, used the slightly lesser or slightly cheaper 1.6-litre petrol engine, the MPI, and that was mated to the 6-speed torque converter. Now, this new 1-litre engine with this 6-speed torque converter is what replaces that particular variant in the BS6 era. But also note that this 6-speed torque converter is a completely new gearbox from Aisin. To put things into perspective, the new Rapid 1.0 automatic is a good 3.6 seconds quicker than the Rapid 1.6 auto and only 1.2 seconds slower than the Rapid 1.0 manual. Compared to the outgoing automatic, the new one is relatively more responsive too, but like before, it's not intended for those with a sporty bent of mind. The gearbox is not tuned to move up to higher gears very quickly, so when you're driving in the city, ambling at around 40 kilometers an hour, you will find yourself between 3rd and 4th gear every now and then, depending on the load inside the car and in turn the load on the engine. And when you're out on the highway, doing 100 kilometers an hour like I'm doing right now in 6th gear only needs about 2000 RPM, so the engine also runs quite relaxed. And that immediately has a good effect on the fuel economy. Compared to the manual transmission, this engine with the auto idles at a slightly higher engine speed, 1000 compared to the manual's 800, And this is essentially done to give you a slightly smoother low-end performance. Just that it isn't. In fact, it's a little too torquey in the low end, a little too eager in the low end. And that becomes a little unnerving if you are maneuvering this car in tight parking spaces, backing it up in a tight parking space. That is where the throttle response is a bit too, I don't want to use the word jerky, let's say a little too eager. Another related shortcoming is its tendency to lurch through downshifts under deceleration. So while the engine braking is good, the transmission lash or shock is a bit too pronounced. In typical torque converter fashion, it does take a little bit of time to respond to power throttle inputs, and especially at highway speeds when you want to pull overtakes, it does take a moment before it downshifts and then gives you enough grunt to make that overtake. So yes, at highway speeds, overtaking does require a little bit of planning. Step on the throttle though, and the gearbox will drop up to 2 gears to make rapid progress. No pun intended. The gearbox also comes with an S mode, which will let you be in a lower gear for longer. It will also let you rev higher. The red line is around 6,000 RPM. It will let you go closer to that. But like we've said even previously with the manual transmission, there's not much go beyond the 5,000 RPM mark. That is where the power starts tapering off. And in the D mode, the moment it goes beyond 5,000, or even when it lingers close to 5,000, it doesn't linger there for too long. It will make the upshift. When you're driving in the twisties, that is where you want to be in the S mode again. Or if you're driving on a crowded highway where you want to pull overtakes every now and then, the S mode certainly comes in handy. I really wish though, with the kind of dynamics that this car has, it also ought to have given paddle shifters, and that's something that we associate with automatics and a Skoda, and paddle shifters would have been a very good addition. In fact, if you're not out to squeeze out the best possible fuel economy from this engine, then the S mode is the mode that you want to be in to make this package more enjoyable to drive. The reason why Skoda and Volkswagen have decided to go with this torque converter has quite a few reasons. The internal reasons, of course, include cost. It is a lot cheaper to make as compared to the more complex DSG gearbox that they previously had. And that DSG, the DQ200, because of its complex nature, also ran into some of these reliability concerns. There were a lot of warranty claims that Skoda had to sort of settle every now and then, and that's the reason this torque converter actually makes a lot more strategic sense. From a driver's standpoint, I think it makes a lot of sense for an engine of this kind, especially a small engine of this kind. I have said this on multiple occasions and I'm going to repeat it again. Small engines and dual clutch transmissions is not a great combination, and especially with the Volkswagen cars or even with the Skoda, we've seen that with the smaller engine, we always had that very jerky performance in the city from the DSG. That is something that has been completely ironed out now with this torque converter. It's a lot smoother to drive in the city as compared to the DSG. Now, to put things into perspective, in terms of its competition, the other torque converter that you have around this price bracket is the Maruti Suzuki Ciaz. But that 4-speed automatic, it's showing its age. It's not as efficient. It's not as great to drive either. This one certainly outclasses that. So to wrap it up, I think it's pretty simple. Skoda sort of did the unthinkable when they launched the Rapid Rider at that tempting price tag. In fact, it was so tempting that Skoda says that the car is virtually sold out for 2020. The order books are full. And I expect that something similar could actually happen with the Rapid Automatic as well. Given the price point at which the entry-level model comes in, I think it is very tempting for those people looking at something like the Polo Automatic for whatever the car's worth, and then getting a sedan and that additional rear space in the bargain. So I think this certainly makes a lot of sense if people could stretch and get this instead of a Polo Automatic. And the way the Automatic is priced, the entry point, the only comparable car from its competition is the lethargic Toyota Yaris. So that's hardly a competition in my books. And higher up the range, the way the top end is priced, it is still more economically priced than the automatic variants of the Verna, the DCT, or the new Honda City, the CVT. Now, of course, those gearboxes are lovely gearboxes. They have taken the technology forward. They offer a lot better equipment as well. But when it comes to a value for money offering, I think the Rapid has again nailed it, even with its top spec trim. And that is exactly what I think will make this another winner and another big product for Skoda India.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with us through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and you can catch up with us on our digital live show as well. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and thank you for watching.